Do you honestly think that you can be vice president? Maybe. Ooh. Let's have a smell, all right? Oh, everyone likes their own brand, don't they? This is magic.
What's up, guys? Boy, Benny. Donald Trump's VP selection is potentially the most important vice presidential selection in all of American history. The reason why is because Donald Trump will be term limited to a single term in office. And so, therefore, the person that he selects as the VP will be the person who carries forward the MAGA movement and the mantle of America first. We have said this many times on the show. The other thing I've said on this show many times is that I really want that person to be like a Tucker Carlson or Vivek Ramaswamy style person. And there's a lot that can happen between now and the election. And so let's see what happens. Donald Trump said many, many times that he's going to make his selection for VP at the convention. So with all that table setting, let's jump in here. The vice president is going to be Marco Rubio. Now, I don't say that because that's my top choice. I don't say that because I'm friends with Marco Rubio. I'm not. I don't have Marco Rubio's phone number. He's never been on my show. I don't have anything personally against Marco Rubio. He's not my favorite VP candidate. I say that because that's what I believe is going to happen. And I want you to be informed. And I want you to be prepared for this. Now, this weekend was proof positive that we're right here, okay? That they are going to make the play that Donald Trump is going to pick Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio speaks fluent Spanish. He's going to be able to sort of coalesce and create the structure and the outreach to the Hispanic community. Hispanic community is in favor of mass deportations. Marco Rubio will probably do a Univision debate with Kamala Harris and destroy her. Kamala Harris can't even speak English, much less Spanish. But also, Marco Rubio is somebody who has big-time, deep donor pockets, will be able to bring a lot of stability to the Trump campaign from the institutional donor perspective. And the sort of proof that we were all right here is that Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump are now meeting and working together. What that means, well, you just have to know that when Marco Rubio decides that he's going to join the ticket, and I think that decision's already been made, that Ron DeSantis gets to appoint the replacement. And so that's sort of my thought process here. We'll play you a clip that proves that we're right, okay? Because we've been asking people about this. But we think we've cracked the case here. Multiple people in multiple circles, donor circles, and political circles have told us that we're right, and this is what we think is going to happen right now. The Trump campaign has told us that Trump will make this decision in Trump time, which means that Donald Trump will make this decision based on his gut in the moment. Apparently before the RNC convention or at the RNC convention. So that's what we know thus far. That's what we've heard in the sort of calls that we've had with people in the know, sources in the know. And this is what the Trump campaign has told us on camera and off camera. And so now you know everything that we know. All right. We will not keep anything from this audience. We're trying to educate you. But anyway, let's get to the point. All right. The point is that Marco Rubio did a battle this weekend with Kristen Welker, who is this seething lib, the lib that was, decimated by Vivek Ramaswamy during the debates, is a seething lib, Russiagate collusion hoaxer, somebody who hates Donald Trump, and she inherited the show Meet the Press, which is a big-time show in Washington, D.C. Nobody else really watches, but in Washington, D.C. is a big show. Marco Rubio got booked on that show. Marco Rubio, again, is as NBC has themselves reported, the favorite for the VP pick. And Marco Rubio and Trump have worked together in the past and are really friendly. And Marco Rubio has obviously been doing a good job as sort of a surrogate for Donald Trump and for the campaign. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is something that Marco Rubio normally wouldn't do if he wasn't going to be the vice president. Right? Marco Rubio doesn't have any kind of direct ties to the Trump campaign. Marco Rubio is out doing combative interviews saying that he won't accept the results of the 2024 elections if Democrats steal it again. Oh, come on, baby. Here's your proof. Listen to Marco Rubio do an absolutely spectacular job knocking down the straw man argument that we all need to accept every election result. And also making the counter case that Democrats never accept election results and haven't accepted election results for the better part of 25 years. Check this out.
So by your own definition, are Donald Trump's claims undermining Americans' confidence in democracy, given that he has not conceded the last election and he just said in recent days twice that he won Minnesota, Senator?
I think what undermines people's confidence in the election is when you have places like Wisconsin with over 500 illegal drop box locations, when you have places like Georgia where liberal groups are paying people $10 per vote. No, but listen, what undermines elections is when NBC News and every major news outlet in America in 2020 censored the Biden laptop story, which turned out to be true, not Russian misinformation, unprecedented. Only you couldn't even talk about it on social media. They would deplatform you. People look at all this. They look at what happened in Arizona, 200,000 ballots that had the signatures didn't match. People will lose confidence, and it opens the door to this.
I have to jump in here. Senator, you voted to certify the election, and
because at that stage in the process, you have no options.
Senator, you voted to certify the election. Nothing has been censored on this program. Hillary Clinton
did you guys cover the laptop for Joe Biden in 2020?
Absolutely, we covered the laptop.
It was bad. You couldn't even talk about it in social media.
Chris Krebs, the top election official,
you couldn't talk about it in social media. It'd be deplatformed. You couldn't even talk about it because they said it was Russian disinformation.
Senator Rubio,
voters in many cases didn't even hear about it because it was blacked out by the media.
We did cover the election, and just to note that Chris Krebs, who was a top Trump election official, called it the safest and most secure election in recent history. Senator Rubio, we are out of time.
What an absolutely excellent exchange there. Marco Rubio saying that Democrats don't accept election results, and also that Democrats rig elections by lying through the intel community, like about the Hunter Biden laptop. It's all a lie. Kristen Welker, of course, has been trained by her handlers to scream and cry and moan and yell about the most secure election in history, and it's all lies, ladies and gentlemen. It's all lies. So Marco Rubio taking Kristen Welker to task, not something that I'd say was on my bingo card for 2024, but also I didn't think that Marco Rubio was going to get the nomination. Now Marco Rubio up as soon as he's done with that hit with a montage of Democrats not accepting election results. Well, what is this? This is pre-planning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Marco Rubio being prepared and ready with the Trump campaign to push out this message. In fact, how excited was the Trump campaign? Trump's senior advisor, Jason Miller, does the old 3-alarm fire here. Must watch video. Well, what does that tell you? Here you go.
That Al Gore won that election. I think he won anyway.
You know it, I know it, they know it. We won that election.
And the only way they could win the election was to stop the voting in Florida.
Troubling evidence of the fact that not every vote was being counted.
Legitimate concerns over the integrity of our elections.
The right to vote has been stolen from qualified voters.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
There is a cloud of illegitimacy around the election of Donald Trump.
If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it.
Without voter suppression, Stacey Abrams would be the governor of Georgia.
Don't let them lie to you. Marco Rubio is the guy who's going to be Donald Trump's VP. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Listen to Marco Rubio defend Donald Trump's policy of deportation to between 20 and 30 million people entering the country illegally. What country on earth would tolerate that? Seal the border, says Marco.
Let's move on to immigration. If reelected, Donald Trump has said he's willing to build migrant detention camps and deploy the U.S. military to deport the more than 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. It would be the largest deportation operation in American history. Do you support that plan?
11 million. That's an outdated. That was the number 10 years ago. We're talking upwards of 20, 25, maybe 30 million. Well, there's been almost 10 million people that have entered this country unlawfully in the last 3 years.
The question, would you support it?
The number varies big time. I mean, it's another 9 to 10 million people just in the last 3 years. The answer to your question is yes. We cannot absorb 25, 30 million people who entered this country illegally. They're here illegally. What country on earth would tolerate that? We don't even know who most of these people are. They talk about vetting them with what? They're coming from nations that don't even have document systems in many cases. Yes, we are going to have to do something, unfortunately. We're going to have to do something dramatic to remove people from this country that are here illegally, especially people we know nothing about. But 10 million, 11 million, that was the number 15 years ago. Today, it's upwards of probably 25 to 30 million, maybe more.
Senator, here's what you said about Donald Trump's mass deportations proposals in 2016. Take a look.
I don't think it's reasonable to say you're going to round up and deport 11 million people. I don't think it's a plan that works. I don't think that's a realistic policy.
So why have you changed your mind now?
Because the issue has completely changed. When I said that, and back in 2013, when I was involved in immigration reform, we had 11, 12 million people that had been here for longer than a decade. Now we've had almost that number in the last 3 years alone from all over the world, including people that I believe are terrorists, people that I believe are going to conduct terrorist attacks in this country if given the opportunity, certainly people that were criminals in their home country. This is a completely different, this is not immigration. You asked me about immigration. This is mass migration. Mass migration. This is an invasion of the country, and it needs to be dealt with dramatically. And by the way, I'm not a big poll follower, but polls show most Americans agree with us on this.
And of course, that was an issue under former President Trump as well. There was just a bipartisan proposal that was put on the table that would put more funding into border enforcement as well as limiting asylum. Republicans walked away from that. But let me move on to my next question.
No, we can't move on because that's not what that bill did. That bill also created asylum officers who right on the border will be able to give people asylum. And you give someone asylum right on the border without any appeal, no judge, nothing, just an asylum officer, they are on a path to citizenship.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Marco Rubio would not be doing. Marco Rubio is going to be Donald Trump's VP. Like, you can hear it in his voice. You can see it in the way that he's positioning himself. You can see it in the way that he's defending Donald Trump's policies. And you can see it, of course, in the Trump team using these clips to promote the Trump War Room, Jason Miller. Like, this is what's going to happen. Now, if you need any further evidence, here's an interaction with me and Anna Paulina Luna, who's a member of Congress from Florida, from last week, where we sort of spelled this out to her, and her reaction sort of tells you everything you need to know. Here, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've cracked the case. Again, not my first pick. I don't think it's your first pick either. But I think that there are a lot of worse picks, quite frankly. And I think this is something we can work with. And I want to win. I want to win as an American First conservative. I don't want to lose as an American First conservative. We need to win. Winning is important. I want to be sick of winning, not losing. I'm sick of losing. Okay. Here's us asking the Congresswoman from Florida, Anna Paulina Luna, about this Marco pick. And, yeah, we're right. So really quickly here, because obviously you'd be somebody to speak very authoritatively to this topic, there have been rumblings about Trump's vice president, and atop those lists is often Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio is somebody who obviously speaks Spanish and would potentially be sort of a play for the Latino vote that you just talked about. Telemundo is one of the networks that Joe Biden wants to debate on, right? And I guess I wonder your thoughts about that, given that he's a senator from the state of Florida. We sort of put the pieces together. We're like, wait a second, so Trump's meeting with DeSantis? DeSantis would be the one who'd appoint the next senator if Marco Rubio was to, like, bow out and run as VP. It seemed to make sense to us. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think that you are probably spot on, Benny. You tend to have a good finger on the pulse. But what I will say is that, I'm also seeing that Burgum's kind of up there. So I have my opinion, and I've heard on pretty good sourcing the top three. I think that you've kind of nailed it with all three of them. But, again, the largest voting minority in the country right now is Hispanic Americans. And so I think that Trump, even if he weren't to have a Hispanic VP, he would still get the vote based on his policies and what he's shown to actually be a huge asset to our community. But I do think that Rubio might be up there as a top contender. And so, as you know, state of Florida is pretty much leading the country, in my humble opinion, with elected officials. So we have some great talent.
I mean, Marco wins the Latino vote here in this wonderful state. And, I don't know Marco Rubio. Don't have a cell phone number, not paid to say this, haven't communicated with anybody on his team. I'm just saying that if he's near the top of the list, that seems to make sense. And locking in, just my thought process here. If he goes on Telemundo and debates Kamala Harris, border czar.
Oh, there's no debate on that. I mean, Kamala, let me just tell Benny, you know that I ran into Kamala at the airport. Like, she's terrible.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think we have that clip ready. We'll have that next time that you're on the program.
Clip. Yeah,
we'll have that next time you're on. Yeah, that's right. You did run into Kamala, whatever they decide to call her today. She can't even get her own name right.